Hello folks, I am the Lone Adventurer. Thank you very much for joining me. Today I'm going to be having a playthrough of Gate with the Gates expansion. If you enjoy playthroughs of fantasy and science fiction adventure games, please do consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the bell notification icon so that you are alerted of future videos. Now, these games are by Jason Glover, the creator of Iron Helm and Desolate and Doom Realm, all of which I have played on this channel. And these games, like many of his others, are only available through GameCrafter, an American site that sort of makes games on demand, I guess. Well, Gate you can print and play yourself, but Gates, that is not possible at the moment. So I had these games along with Tin Helm, which I have not yet had a look at. These games I ordered from America, and if you can't tell from my accent, I live in England, and I had to wait quite a long time in order for these games to come through to me, or at least it felt like a long time. I've played a couple of games of Gate already, and I won both of those games quite easily. Now there is a sort of a hardcore mode, which I was going to play today, but I was going to play Gate without gates. However, I've realised now that I've already mixed all the cards together, so my only option now really is to play Gate with gates. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to crack these open. I'm going to get this game set up and we're going to play through Gate with the Gates expansion. I'm going to stop now and get this set up. Alright, here we are with the game set up, including the new elements from the Gates expansion. Now this is one of those expansions that kind of just adds more content rather than making the game more complex. So if you're not familiar with the base game of Gate, do not worry, you can still watch this playthrough and understand pretty much how the base game works, because not much here is particularly different. We do have two locations that are not in the base game, the mill and the tavern. We'll talk about those in a moment. We've got these things here, barricades, which we'll talk about in a moment. And the enemy deck has 4 additional enemies. Essentially what we've got here is a tower defense game. We are defending the town, and most importantly the gate, against successive waves of enemies. And we will do that by playing cards from our deck here. Our deck, I'll show you, contains, so these are our 3 starting cards, and the deck contains residents of our town, specifically the storyteller, the guard and the peddler. And we can add additional residents from our town by paying them off with gold, these guys over here, and then they can be added gradually to the deck. But obviously while we're doing that, we've got to make sure that we continue to defend the town and make sure that the gate doesn't get destroyed, because if the gate is destroyed, the game is over. We've got this odd little building over here called the Fear Amid, and the Fear Amid is used to track the fear level of the town. Every time a particularly scary monster attacks, the Fear Amid will increase in value, and sometimes that results in good things happening, specifically getting heroes, which are extra handy residents of the town that can only be used once. And it will also end up doing damage to these locations, because if you hadn't realised already, the dice represents the location's sort of health, I guess. And as the enemies attack them, that number will be reduced, and if it goes down to 0, the game is over. Now, each of these locations has a handy ability, but I think we'll talk about those as we go. Probably the two biggest differences here compared to the base game are these new locations and the fact that we can now use barricades to protect them. And these barricades can be placed in front of a location, and when you do that, having paid 3 gold, it will prevent a single attack on that location. So it's a one-time use deal. Right, with all that said, I think we just need to get started. We've got a little turn sequence here, so we'll go through our turn. First thing we do is advance the enemy. So an enemy comes out. Now, if we had 2 enemies, one there and one there, when we flipped a card over, we would have to lose the enemy on the left. If you can picture that, because you can only have 2 enemies out at one time, and when an enemy gets pushed out of this little row, not only do you lose that enemy and the ability to get victory points from it, it also does one final attack. So this Skelepede, for example, would get to attack the tower for 2. Luckily it doesn't do any fear damage, and it's got a health of 3. So basically what I'm saying is you don't want to let the enemies pile up too much, because if they fall off the end they do extra damage and that's annoying. So he's out, the Skelepede. Then we're going to drop 3 cards. We've only got 3 cards, so here they are. And then we're going to use commands, which are things on this side of the card that allow you to do particular things within the town, particular actions. I think I'll probably talk about those when I actually want to do them. You can then recruit and then use cards to do various things. So first things first, I'm going to look at this and see what my purchasing power is. This number at the top here is their value in gold, so how much money they're bringing to the table. So we've got a total of 3 gold theoretically here. However, my guard is the only one who can do an attack. I would definitely want to do an attack on the Skelepede. So that means that theoretically I would just want to use the peddler to purchase a card. Glancing over at the cards, we've got one here that costs 2, so we can totally afford the Vagabond. And we've got one here that costs 3, and we can afford that one as well, because actually when the farm is intact, it gives a +1 to a single purchase once per turn. So that means that actually using the peddler with 2 gold, I can recruit a town resident of value of 3. Do I want the craftsman? Well, just looking at the Vagabond, you may discard a card from your hand and draw a new one. Vagabond is useful. That sounds good. Craftsman just gives you +1 when repairing the farm or the gate, which is nice. It's very nice. But I don't need it yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the peddler to hire the Vagabond. So that cost me 2. He costs 2 to hire, so he is now going into my discard pile, and he will be available next time we draw, potentially. The storyteller, recruiting a citizen costs 1 less gold this turn. That's interesting. I might not get the Vagabond, and I think I might get the blacksmith instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the storyteller. Now I could theoretically use him to do something else. Very briefly, let me tell you what those other actions are that a person can do. This allows him to repair a location. This allows him to reduce the level of fear in the town. However, our fear is currently at 0. All our locations are full health. because the mill and the tavern start at 4 each. Everywhere else, these two locations start at 6 and the gate starts at 12. So everything's full. So I'll use them for that purpose, which means that I can now purchase or recruit someone up to a value of 1, 2, plus 1 for the storyteller, plus 1 for the farm. I think I'm going to go for the blacksmith, because he has a special ability. You may double the attack of another card, and that is handy. I like that. So we're going to go with that. Right, so we've done recruit. We're not using any commands, but we are going to use our guard. And we're going to use our guard to do an attack. He's got an attack value of 1. And when the tower is standing, it gives +1 to a single attack once per turn. So that means we're doing a total of 2 damage to the Skelipede. Unfortunately, that is not enough to kill it, which means it's going to attack us back, and it's taking the tower for 2, taking the tower down to 4. And that's the end of the round. I'm going to shuffle up my now 4 cards and draw 3. Enemy's going to advance, so the Skelepede's going to move there, and out comes the Flyclops. Oh, and he's going to attack the tavern. I wondered what that symbol was for a moment. That's one of the new locations. So he's going to attack the tavern for 1. So we've got the guard, the peddler, and the blacksmith. And as we know, the blacksmith doubles the attack of another card. And the peddler means the festival command costs 1 gold. The festival command reduces fear. And we don't have any fear yet. So we're okay. Or I should have replaced the recruit from last round. So I've got the peddler again. And once again, a purchase value of 2, but 3 with the farm. So again, I could purchase the vagabond and I could purchase the craftsman. I like the idea of the vagabond with this ability. You may discard a card from your hand and draw a new one. So that gives you a bit of flexibility. If you've got a card you don't like, you can just get rid of it. Right, so with that done, the recruit. Now, what are we going to do? Well, obviously, he's going to attack, but I think I'm going to use the blacksmith to repair. So he's got a repair value of 2. Obviously, he's going to repair our tower, taking it back up to full health. You may double the attack of another card. So that ability just happens automatically. You don't have to use up the card to do that ability. The resident can do something else, and that is like a beneficial side effect. So I will attack with the guard, and we're going to get 1. It's going to be doubled because of the blacksmith to 2. And we're going to be doubling the value of the tower as well. Because if you remember, the tower adds +1 to a single attack. And that says you may double the attack of another card. So I guess the attack of this card is 1, so we're doubling that to 2, adding on 1 for the tower, so we've got an attack total of 3. So I'll do 1 point of damage to the Skelipede, and you can split damage between multiple enemies. So I will also add 2 to the Flyclops. The Skelipede has 3 health, 3 points of damage, so the Skelipede is killed. I'm going to put this over here in a score pile, and that's that. The Flyclops is going to attack. It's going to attack the tavern for 1, taking it down to 3. And we've also got a point of fear damage here, which means we increase the pyramid by 1. Now that has hit this little sun symbol here, which means we get one of the heroes of the town. So this is giving us the clay golem. It's got a value of 1 on everything, so quite flexible. Plus you may place 2 barricades. 1-time use. I guess that means you may place 2 barricades for free. I'm going to take that to mean you can place 2 barricades for free. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. Alright, so the round is over. Job done. So onto a new round. Flyclops is going to shift to the left. Out comes the Lost Corpse. We've got 2 health, 1 point of damage to the mill, and 1 point of fear damage. Plus, you may not calm your citizens while the Lost Corpse is active. Okay, so we can't reduce the value on the pyramid, which is kind of annoying. Right, so we need to draw 3 cards. We've only got 1 there, so we need to shuffle up the other cards. And what have we got? The Storyteller, the Blacksmith, and the Clay Golem, our new character. Okay, so the Storyteller we will use to repair the tavern, back up to 4. Recruiting assistant costs 1 less gold this turn. Now here we've got 2 gold. Plus 1 for the farm, so we've got a purchase power of 3, but we can purchase anyone up to a value of 4, so we could afford the assassin theoretically, and I think that's probably who it's going to be because we need more attack stuff. So let's get the assassin. Now the clay golem is going to immediately lose play. We only get to use him once. And it says you may place 2 barricades, 1-time use. Let's place 2 barricades. Let's put 1 in front of the mill and 1 in front of the tower. Why not? There we go. So that's everything done from our end, I think. Of course, the issue with what I just did is I'm not actually attacking. All right, we're going to stick with it. We're going to stick with that situation there. So that means the Flyclops is going to do 1 point of damage to the tavern, taking it down to 3, and 1 point of fear damage, and that's going to do a point of damage to the farm. When you hit that symbol, a point of damage is done to the farm. That's going to take that down to 5. Lost Corpse is going to do a point of damage to the mill, but the barricade is going to block that, which means when a monster, an enemy attacks a location of a barricade, the enemy actually gets a point of damage instead. So the Lost Corpse receives a point of damage, and they're also going to do a point of fear, which actually is kind of good for us in a way because it means we're going to get another hero to add to our deck for a short period. This one is the Bishop, who just is very good at reducing the fear level. So that's nice. Obviously I can't use him yet until the Lost Corpse is out of the picture because the Lost Corpse prevents us from calming citizens, i.e. reducing the fear level. Right, so with that done, we're going to move to the start of the next round. The enemies are going to advance, which means the Flyclops is going to pop off the end. They get 1 more attack in, so it's going to do a point of damage to the tavern, taking the tavern down to 2. Lost Corpse moves along 1, and out comes a Plague Rat. Let's draw some cards. 1, 2, 3. Definitely want to be doing some attacking this round. Right, I think I'm going to use the Vagabond to do 1 point of repairing, and I think we'll repair the tavern, taking the tavern back up to 3. And the Vagabond also allows me to discard a card from my hand and draw a new one. So I think I'm going to discard the Peddler and then do a quick shuffle and draw a new card. Hopefully one that does some attacking. Here we go. Hopefully not the Peddler again. Bishop. That's a shame, isn't it? Because the Bishop just repairs, reduces fear, which we can't do because of the lost corpse. So I'm not actually going to use the bishop on this turn. I'm just going to use the guard to attack for 1 plus 1 for the tower, so a total of 2 attack. And that'll be 1 point on the lost corpse and 1 point on the plague rat. Lost corpse is defeated. Plague rat is left in place and is going to attack the farm for 1 and do 1 point of fear. Taking the farm down to 4 and increasing our pyramid up to the next level and hitting the tower for 1 point of damage. So that is the end of the first wave of attack. I think we'll stop there and finish up in a second video. We've got lots of enemies left to defeat, including Zogar, the final boss. Everything is looking moderately good. We've got some nice cards in our deck. Oops. That's the discard pile. That's the deck as it stands. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I have been the Lone Adventurer. Please like this video if you found it enjoyable. I hope you can join me for the conclusion of this adventure in the next video. Thanks for watching.